This is one reason Max Yasker's neighbors are upset because he leased his farm to a rock music festival. This is another. More than 350,000 people, mostly young people, showed up to hear the greatest rock groups in the country. The promoters billed it as 3 days of peace and music, and for most people, it was just that.
That was correspondent Lem Tucker from NBC News the day after Woodstock. Brings us to our final story tonight. If you drive from this city north along a series of rural roads through farm country in upstate New York, you'd drive right by it if you didn't see the marker, and you'd likely never realize you were driving past the site of a gathering that changed a generation of Americans. Woodstock started 40 years ago this weekend. Those who were there have their own memories, or not. Those who weren't there have seen the images, one in particular telling the story of that time and the upwards of 500,000 people who came together. There was a lot going on in the summer of '69, and so 3 days in the country in upstate New York seemed like a good idea to a lot of people. Somewhere in the crowd was photographer Burke Uzzle, and early that Sunday morning, as Jefferson Airplane took the stage, good morning, people, he took a picture.
It was a very gentle scene. You can see people still asleep, and people are just beginning to come to. And they just stood up and just gave each other a big hug and sort of nuzzled each other for a little bit, and they got a few frames off, and then it was over.
It wasn't over. The photo made the cover of the hugely popular Woodstock soundtrack album and became an instant icon. But who were those two people? Well, she was 20-year-old Bobby Kelly, who worked at a local bank. He was Nick Erkeline, also 20, a college kid with 2 jobs. Both were from upstate New York. They'd started dating just 2 months earlier and married 2 years after Woodstock. These days, Bobby is a school nurse, Nick is a retired carpenter, and the best news might just be that they are still married. We asked them to return to the site of the Woodstock Festival and share their memories 40 years later.
It just sounded like something spectacular was going on, and we needed to see it.
And this is something that was so close to us, so why would we miss it?
The draw of Woodstock was the music, a marathon concert by some of the 60s biggest stars. But the real star of the show turned out to be the crowd itself, 500,000 strong, far bigger than anyone expected.
There was singing, there was crying, there was shouting, there was laughing. There were so many people. There was so much going on.
They were from all over the country. They came from all over the world, as a matter of fact. But we were all kind of alike, and we all wanted to get along.
It was about peace and love and the generosity and the sharing and the togetherness.
Freedom, freedom. And our music reflected a lot of things that were going on. Civil rights, the women's movement, anti-war protest. And that was the main draw that was here. This is our music, this is us, this is our time.
This countryside fell silent long ago, and in all these years, the Erkelines never met the man who took that famous picture until just this spring.
It's a pleasure. It's a great honor.
Welcome to our home.
Well, thank you.
The moment was captured by a documentary film crew as Burke Uzzle photographed Nick and Bobby once again.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
This time for Smithsonian Magazine.
With all that they had symbolized in this photograph, now they're still living it. How beautiful is that?
This is the picture that matters most to the Erkelines these days. It's about family. But that other photo taken so long ago will always be part of their lives and ours.
Yeah, it's me and Bobby, but it's more of a couple of kids caught in a moment. That's how I look at it. And it's really awesome to sit back and say, wow, that's really reflective of my generation.
Our kids have grown up with it. It's part of who we are. It's part of who they are. And it's a wonderful thing to share with somebody that you love.
There you go.
Woodstock 40 years later. How about that?